The reason why I love LinkedIn so much is because I get still about 70 to 80% of my business through LinkedIn, and I've not spent a cent on LinkedIn. So as much as we talk today about content creation, and the last masterclass was more about how can you set up your profile to be optimized to get clients to come to you. Today we're talking about content creation that drives clients to come to your landing page, to your profile, to then reach out to you. So it's still part of the sales funnel. And the other reason why I love LinkedIn so much for lead generation and to find clients is when people are Googling certain names, professions, industries, or a solution on Google, LinkedIn is the second and third highest result, because it's a trusted source of information. So as much as you want to optimize your LinkedIn profile, it has a ripple effect on the other platforms. And this is why it's so powerful. So the last few, literally the last few years, I've built my business through the relationships that I've had on LinkedIn. The same principles still apply. We want to get people off the platform. We want to get them into our universe in one way or the other. And the easiest way to do it is to have those one-on-one conversations or to offer any kind of freebies. A masterclass works really well. I'm running quite a few joint masterclasses actually over the next 3 months with other people. So I'm tapping into their network, setting up LinkedIn events that I can invite hundreds and thousands of people at the same time very easily, and have them register on my own database. So we can use LinkedIn in multiple ways in terms of content creation. It's not just the actual posting, but it's also using those features like events. So let me share my screen. And the reason why we talk specifically content for LinkedIn, it's because it works a little bit differently than Instagram, for example, or Facebook. Before we get into that, though, I want to also give you some trends and updates, what's happening. So I'm not sure if you've read the stories. That stories that were launched on LinkedIn in August last year are going to be deleted by the end of September again, which is shocking because that got me a lot of leads actually, because we could have this easy and casual one-on-one conversation. But having said that, it doesn't surprise me, since only about 1% of all LinkedIn users are proactively posting on the feed where you get new reach and new potential clients. So let alone the stories, that it's a lot more curated and a lot less perfect, the usage was a lot less. And features like that cost a fortune for any social media channel to implement. So they're now taking it off, unfortunately, by the end of September. In terms of LinkedIn groups, what they're also testing, because it's literally dead, I wouldn't spend too much time on any groups. There are literally 2 that have a little bit traction, but they try to create kind of a badge for active members that groups are getting reactivated. But again, I wouldn't spend too much time on groups as such. They also, what they do is they want to focus more on the relationship building and the connections that we have to foster them more, rather than just collecting more and more people in our network. So what they're doing now is they've limited the outreach to new connections to 100 per week. It's still quite a bit if you think about it. And if you set your routine and do 10-15 minutes of connections and networking in the morning, and then another 10 minutes at night to reply to direct messages, we can do a lot with 100 people, to be honest. And the last interesting new facts or feature that I've tried a few times already is to have the native video directly into direct messages. So rather than just sending them a text message or a direct message or even a voice message, we can now video chat, which makes everything so much more personal. But obviously it needs to be coordinated, that they expect a video call and they're not in the shower and half naked. We want to avoid that. And this is going to be really interesting. I mean, we've probably all seen the trend that we're going into gig economy, and all of us, we're running our own business. Now, what LinkedIn is doing now is to make it a little bit more transparent in terms of the ratings. Like Uber has already the ratings, and other service providers. LinkedIn is now introducing also a rating on our profile. So you can set the services that you're offering. So I've got executive coaching, personal branding coaching, leadership, these are my kind of services, and people can rate us now. So even though I don't have the feature yet, look out for it, because it's going to be like all the other features rolled out to every single person in stages. Have you got any questions so far?
So Petra, in that case, if I'm a photographer, the services would be portrait photography, headshot photography, and those I think are listed in there. You can already specify what you do. Is that?
That's right.
What you're saying? And now
yes.
People can write you directly based on, or connect with you directly based on that?
Yes, exactly. And they also rolled out earlier this year the content creator feature, which means that underneath your name, you can actually have the hashtags for the topics and the services that you're offering. You can list them so that it's your name, and then straight after it's the services. So it's also this brand building that we see straight away, what can you offer and what can I get in touch with you for. So I would definitely recommend that. And as I said, LinkedIn is a search engine. So as much as it's a social platform, it also is a search engine. And why I got into LinkedIn to start with is because I was in recruitment for many years. First, I was in marketing, and I never built my brand. I always built big, fast-moving consumer goods brands, but never mine. Then I got into recruitment, and all of a sudden, I was kind of the product that clients and candidates would be able to find me, and I could also reach out to them. And I placed over 300 candidates and put one job ad up in my entire 5 years in recruitment. The rest was all through networking. So this is the power of connecting with the right people and establishing a network that is beneficial to you.
Okay. So one question I do have, you know how it says follow on LinkedIn? Like, is that something you have to switch where people can start following you, or is it just automatically like that?
Yeah, good question. Now with the content creator mode, you have follow option rather than the connect option. But that does mean you can't connect with this person. What it does is, let me hop over to I'll actually show it on LinkedIn directly. Share. There we go. So let's say this person, I don't know. Oh, I don't know him, just anyone. So this person hasn't changed to the LinkedIn creator mode, so I can connect with him. But I could also say we actually don't know each other. I'd rather follow him to start with. Both ways, what it does is it helps me to see their content on my feed, whether I follow them or I'm connected with them. What, especially for the free version, what we can't do with follow, we only have limited amounts of direct messages available. When I'm connected with them, I can message them whenever I want. That's the only difference. So you can say, you know, I'll follow him to start building the relationship. So Jason would get notified now. He's probably going to check out my profile. And then I find something that's interesting about his activity, which, you know, obviously is not much at the moment because he's literally doing nothing. But I could find something that I could comment on and build a relationship this way. And then say, you know, I've seen you posting quite a little bit of interesting content, would be great to connect. So it's not a cold outreach. And then I already had a few touch points, which means the conversation to go to a business conversation, it's a lot easier.
Do they get notified? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Duno.
Yeah, so you get notified here. Somebody liked your...
No, I'm saying if you click follow, does the person you're following get notified that you're now following them?
Yes. And this is the whole point of social media, that, you know, there are actually bots and automation tools out there that clicks on people's profiles. Because what it does is like, who is this person? So now we're checking them out. It makes us curious. And even though we're all busy, the only motivation that we change what we're doing is curiosity. And notifications do exactly that. They make us curious about this person.
So what I was going to say is, how do you turn on creator mode? Or is that just...
It's on your profile, and you need to do it on your phone also. Because what you do is, I'll just look at my profile in a second. Did you see that? I have an image. Yeah, there's a little video on there. So you've got 30 seconds when you turn on the creator mode. Let me see if it works now. There we go. It shows the 3 seconds preview when you come onto somebody's profile and you see if they've turned on the creator mode, if they've got this yellow-orange circle around it. And it's an amazing way for you to introduce yourself in 30 seconds. But what we need to consider is that the first 3 seconds are quiet, so you can't actually hear it. So you don't want to say something very important. You say, in my case, I say, thanks so much for stopping by, or for stopping by my profile or something. So, if they don't hear it, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. And you said you turn it on your phone?
Yes.
Creator mode?
So when you scroll down, you would actually see it here. They would say creator mode, turn on, turn off. So you see it. And this is, when you are on your profile, this is only visible to you also. So nobody else can see that. And this is what I'm talking about. When you've got the creator mode on, you can have the keywords up to 5 right underneath your name. So people will see what you actually offer. And this is also a searchable term. So again, when we think about LinkedIn being a search engine, when we Google somebody who needs, LinkedIn training or executive coaching, I would rank fairly high.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just found it. I do have it on.
Yes, there you go. The video is optional, but I got a lot of outreach because of that and say, oh, it's great to actually meet you. You just build relationships, and you would know from TikTok, it's all about, showing your face and being out there.
So Petra, is that where you do, it says you can add the pronunciation of your name? Is that separate from that?
That's separate. So this is this one.
Okay.
You can do it on, again, it's a mobile feature, but it's up to 10 seconds. So rather than just saying PetraSync, you can actually have a little twist on it. PetraSync helping corporate professionals turn their expertise into industry authority or something like that. So even though it's probably only 7 seconds, it's a little bit more personal and stands out from the rest. And it's also a lot more inclusive, given so many actually can't read.
Yep, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions on the actual profile? So this, just as a reminder, this is the basic, the prime real estate, the marketing real estate that you want to optimize. And anything that has this blue little pencil can be edited. And I always recommend to edit it when it's possible. So it means having this banner, having a different role than what you set up to be. When you say consultant at company XYZ, what does it even mean? It doesn't mean anything. If you take it up a notch and actually put those keywords in there that people would be able to find you for, again, it impacts your search results. And this is how I landed Microsoft. They literally Googled personal branding and Vienna. I haven't been in Vienna for the last 11 years, but because the combination is so unique, personal branding and Vienna, she said I was literally the only one who they could find. So they still engaged me, even though I was in Australia, and we did an online training with them. And that was Microsoft Austria. And this is the power of LinkedIn, And because less than 1% is actually proactively creating content, it makes it even easier for us to stand out. And LinkedIn is like every other social media platform. They make money by advertisement. And on average, users only spend 18 minutes per month on LinkedIn, which is tiny compared to, say, Facebook, which we're on it for 58 minutes a day on average, and 38 minutes on Instagram a day. So what we have the opportunity is to actually be a creator for LinkedIn to get the rewards from it.
And yeah, so one thing I guess about, so you said having hashtags in your, your bio or where it is, right? So for someone who's working on building their personal brand, right? So what would be some key notes for the hashtags?
Good point. What you do is with the hashtags, you curate also your feed. So when we type in social media marketing, for example, what we see, so I'm following this hashtag, which has 148,000 followers. So anyone who posts content using this hashtag, I see on my feed, even though we may not be connected. So this person, for example, Alison, if I open it here, she posts about social media marketing. If that's my audience, I see already who's interested to talk about this topic, and I can connect with her now. So it's a way to find leads, but at the same time, to also see what people are talking about, the content and the topic that I want to talk about. And this is probably the next really important part here in LinkedIn. What I love so much about it, again, is you don't have to be super active because only less than 1% post on LinkedIn. The organic reach is a lot higher than on Instagram and Facebook, which has been for a long time a pay-to-play platform. When you post on LinkedIn 2 to 3 times yourself, more than enough. On top of that, what you want to do every day, 5-10 minutes, that's all you need, is to engage in other people's content. Because commenting actually counts as content creation. And if you leave a proper comment there, people who are connected to Alison would see that. And this is how they would check out my profile. And when it's properly written and there's a bit of an incentive, a freebie or something on there, you can get them into your universe. So you can do lead generation on steroids without actually doing too much. So when you follow the top 5, hashtags for your category, you can actually find people who are already interested in that topic, and it's a much easier conversation to get started with. And at the same time, as much as you want to follow those hashtags, you also want to use it in your own post and always have this brand recognition. I'll show you one of my best performing posts, which was only a few weeks ago, and I still get traction from it. This is what I currently see is one of the best performing types of content, because on LinkedIn, people are not there to waste time that we are on Instagram. When you wait for a coffee, you check Instagram. When you're going on LinkedIn, you actually want to be educated. But at the same time, we don't have hours to be educated, which is why any kind of infographic that breaks down something very complex in an engaging and compelling way, that gets a lot of traction. And I put that onto Instagram as well. And I thought, I think it's okay. It's not amazing. I got like 35 likes. It's like, nah, good enough. Anyway, here on LinkedIn, it has gone gangbusters and has 10,000 views, over 200 likes, a lot of comments, but it's not even it. I got over 25 reshares. I've never had that in my life. Because what reshares do is it makes other people look smart. But on LinkedIn, resharing content is actually duplication of content and gets punished, which was why I was so surprised that so many people actually reshared that content. And when you get reshared, you also get exposed to new audience who then connect with you. So I got from this post, I think 68 new connections, but high level connections. And also what you do is when you've got those third plus connections or people you're not connected with, but who came across you because of the hashtags that you used or because of somebody else resharing it, you want to engage with them saying, thanks so much for engaging in my post on, and then you call it out that they also remember it. I had a chance to look at your profile, which looks really impressive. Would love to connect and learn more about you or something like that. So very casual, not straight with the pitch in there. And then they will see your content. And then you will see you get a lot more conversation going when there are a few touch points already prior to that.
Gotcha. And so with the content, right? Mm-hmm. Reshares are, important, but also providing value and keeping it simple is what you'd say is a benefit, right? Because if people are spending, about 18 minutes, I'm assuming the simpler a post is while you're still giving value. That's like yes, an important piece, right?
Very important. See how long this post is? Not long. Yep. And also a lot of white space. And it makes it engaging with some of the emojis. They're not techie emojis, but they are breaking up the content. And given 65% of content is actually consumed on the go, which means we are scrolling and we are reading, not left to right, but top to bottom, it makes it a lot easier to consume. And with that, when it's easier to consume, it's easier to like or engage with. And this is also what we want to consider with content creation. There are actually two algorithms on LinkedIn. One is on the desktop, the feed, and one is on your phone. So if you open both at the same time, you will actually see different content. Because on-the-go content means you don't have as much time. So you don't get shown as many articles or long-form posts. You get shown more the polls, which are super easy to engage. You get shown more of those short posts, images, those infographics. This is getting more shown on your phone, which is amazing.
And
So
what about? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask about video content. If that, how does that? If that's even something people do on LinkedIn?
Yes, they do it, not enough. Like as I said, less than 1% post, leave alone video. And this video is still like, oh my God, this is too horrible. So when you do video, absolutely, it gets traction very easily. If it's less than a minute, we see on
Definitely.
Yeah, so many studies that with 1 minute, boom, it goes down by like 69% that people are switching off because it's still a professional platform. People are not there to consume content like we do on YouTube that we actually want to, immerse ourselves into that. It's like quick in and out. So if you say, I'm really good with having 30 seconds video clips, the one tip that I want to give you on content creation is boom, boom, boom. Thanks. See you next time for tip 2 or something like that. Super short and sharp. This is what resonates really well. Any other questions? It actually brings us into one of the easiest way to create content, and that takes you 30 seconds. And that's the poll. So when you, again, go onto your main feed, you go start a post. And underneath here, you've got different options to create content. So when we say create a poll, this is one of my biggest conversation drivers. It helps us to do a little bit market research, but at the same time, it also creates content and you're getting shown and become visible on the feed. So a question could be, what could we say? Video versus infographic. The true result or something like that. Short and sharp, and then in the option 1 and 2 you tell that. So what I did a couple of weeks ago was, is the biggest motivator for you to build your personal brand, to get speaking engagements, to land a board role, to become the go-to person, something else. So you have up to 4 options. And then you can say, it takes me, I put it up for a day, a week, 3 days. I would always put it for a week because it's long enough to get traction, but short enough to not get annoying because the reach drops off after about 4 days. So you still get a few latecomers to the party in the last couple of days with the poll, but it usually stops after 4 days to get the reach. So 1 week is a good one. And what we do then, so we create the content, it's already 1 post. A week later, we can share the results and create a new conversation. And then this is also the best excuse to send the results to everyone who has voted on it. Oh, I see you've voted for video. Tell me more about it. Are you doing video already? Or why video? Just, again, having this conversation. And it needs to be obviously on a topic that's relevant to us.
Petra, sorry, my power went out at the house, so I dialed in on my phone.
Okay.
I have a question back on content creation for web versus mobile. Are you suggesting you do your posts on the web and then it'll get modified for the mobile, or do you do separate posts on the web versus on mobile?
No, I do exactly the same. It's just who consumes the content sees different types in general of content. So you want to alternate content. I don't want to do just polls all the time because I know I limit my reach. I have 1 poll a week, not more. And what
But you just post it on your web, on the computer, on your web, or do you do your posts both on web and mobile?
I pre-schedule everything. So I use Buffer for it. and I actually hardly ever post in real time. So the only time when I do it is when I do a poll, because you can't schedule it.
Right.
And when I do a carousel, which I'll do actually today. A carousel is the slide feature that we have on Instagram also. And it has what it's called the highest dwell time. So dwell time means people stop by for longer. And when they do that, your content gets shown to a wider audience. So we want to use that, and how we do it is, instead of posting a photo or a video, we actually need to say a document. So if you have got tiles, for example, on Canva, and you have the slideshow, the 3 biggest sins when it comes to photography. Does this sound familiar? You hate photography, blah, blah. Well, there's one tip there are 3 tips that you need to know. That's 3 slides. Tip 1, tip 2, tip 3. Summary, next steps. So you don't have a limitation in terms of how many slides, like we have on Instagram with 10 slides only. You can do as many, but I wouldn't go crazy and above 10 because that's getting annoying. So what we do is add a document, choose file, and it needs to be a Word document or a PDF.
Oh, so it would be something you'd have to like take off and put it on there, right? It's not like you can just have your pictures, or, you know, if it's like, say, Instagram is downloaded on your phone, you can just upload. It's a different process, or it's about the same?
It's, well, Instagram, you have JPEGs or PNG files. On LinkedIn, you actually can't upload. Oh, actually, you can upload a document also from your phone, but I hardly have PDFs on my phone saved easily. So I still do that on my desktop.
Gotcha. And in terms of posting frequency, you said 2 to 3 times. You post 2 to 3 times a week, or?
I post more just because it's kind of my profession. But if you start 2 or 3 times and work your way up and say, I'm feeling quite confident, I know now what my audience actually resonates with, I create more of that. That's more than enough, because people are usually too excited. They want to post every single day. And then after the second week, it's like, nah, I'm out of here. It's too much.
So you'd recommend keeping, you know, about 3-4 times a week, or like, that's what I'm trying to understand, because I know on other platforms, right, it's multiple times per day.
Yes.
So
no, not per day. Actually, more than 2 posts a day diminishes the reach for any posts.
Okay, so once a day, and
it's more than enough. Yeah, and also in terms
3 times a week.
Yes, and I would recommend to actually skip the Monday, because Monday, I'm not sure if it's the same in the US, but Monday is usually meeting day or admin day, and people don't have the headspace to learn something or whatever it might be. So I don't put too much effort in on a Monday, but between Tuesday and Thursday, I've got the heavier content. And I alternate between the types. So on Tuesday, that's always my podcast. You know, that's my pillar content that I'm promoting. And the topic, you know, this week is storytelling, for example. Then on Wednesday, I usually have a poll to ask a question. On Thursday, I do a promotion, and I know already with any promotions, even when it's a freebie, the reach goes down, which is why on Wednesday, when the engagement is high because of the poll, on Friday, I counterbalance it and put a personal post up there, like the week that was, or 3 things that I learned, or you know, what's the months now? 9 months. The 8 lessons that I've learned over the last 8 months. And anything that counterbalance the ups and downs, because I know already promotion day is never good. But we need to promote, otherwise how would people know what we're offering?
Yeah. So, okay, so, you know, 3 times a week. So what would you say well, you're in a different location, but in terms of days of posting, right? So you said Mondays are normally meeting days, and then you said you post Monday. You post every day, or?
Saturdays, never, because it's a dead day.
Yeah.
Because in the US, when it's my Saturday, US is Friday, and people usually Friday afternoon are out. So even after 12 o'clock on Friday, I don't post anymore, because people have already the weekend inside and they're not bothering being on LinkedIn. This is more a during the week kind of platform. Having said that, I found Sundays with more personal content, and my story and more inspirational content works really well, because people are preparing for the week ahead thinking, oh, don't want to go there. So you want to tap into the mindset that people are going through per day.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
No worries. A tip that I would give you when you upload a document, like a PDF or a Word document, is to always have the alt text there. Again, it makes it inclusive, and it could, again, help you with the SEO part. You would say, Petra, think personal branding. So you want to actually put in those keywords that you want to be found for. And what you do, you see, this is the slideshow. So this is what you see.
So you're saying when you're titling it, right? That's not, don't put, you know, basically the title of the post, put your SEO stuff like.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not shown, right? Or is it shown?
I'll show you what it does. It, you know, I just say test. Yeah, you would put something in there. So what it's, you see that part?
Yeah.
You see that. But it also helps the back end of those crawlers to pick up this content piece.
Gotcha.
And then you can scroll through it because it's engaging. People like to watch that. When you say, if you want to have the download for it, so I'll just delete it. If you want to have the download, you don't put the link into your post, because LinkedIn doesn't want you to take people away from the platform. You put it into the first comment.
Okay, so for links, okay, links should go in the comments.
Yes. There is a hack around it, which I found out. If you post it and then go back and edit it and then add the link, it doesn't pick up on it. So it still gets the traction. But if you post it directly, you get hardly any engagement, because LinkedIn doesn't show that content to anyone.
Okay, and yeah, so the alt text is just good for SEO.
Yes, yeah, and inclusivity. So when people are, you know, blind, for example,
Seeing impaired.
seeing impaired, yes, this is what helps them.
Gotcha.
So this is one type of content that you can already do a poll, and think of 4 questions for the next month ahead that's connected to your topic. It could even be Q4. Are you increasing your spend in marketing, decreasing, staying the same? What I also did, especially when I was traveling still a bit, rather than saying, oh, look at me, I've got another keynote, because it's kind of douchey, I said, I'll all day, every day. En route to go to blah, 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 to speak at blah, blah, blah. What about you? Aisle or window seat? Because there's no right or wrong. And people are always very keen to give their 2 cents on topics that are not really that important. So I would say Biden or Trump. You know, people don't vote on that, or you shouldn't talk about political content on LinkedIn if you're not a politician, because it can actually damage your reputation. But having those lighthearted content in between whilst doing some self-promotion is a really good way to build this connection. Oh, she's speaking, but at the same time, instead of the post flopping because I'm talking about how good I am, I make it a little bit funny and say I'll all the time. This is also the personality part of it. And people say, oh my God, I hate aisles, it's always window. So you have a conversation, and because they then have some emotions around this conversation, it's a lot easier to switch into the business conversation. So tell me a little bit about you. Are you traveling a lot for work? Oh, I hate it. Oh, so what do you want to change about it? So all of a sudden we are in a business conversation because you want to change careers. And then I'm on. And then we can have a normal sales conversation.
Petra, is your post always original content? Is there any value in resharing other content? Does that do the same, or is it better to post original content?
Well, what I would say is, when I do this share, if I get 3 likes, I'm really lucky, because it's kind of penalized content or penalization, because I don't share something original. It's a duplication of content. But what I would do is I would take a screenshot from the post, or a screenshot from a research, or, you know, an infographic, and say, according to, and this is really important, what we need to do is add, say, Harvard Business School. The research says blah, blah, blah. So everyone who follows Harvard Business School will see my post, even though we're not connected with each other. So I create original content because I give my 2 cents on a research, but I'm not making up the research. I'm tapping into a trusted source of information. And I'm tapping into their network also.
So you're just commenting on their research. So you're saying you take a screenshot and then you comment on what you think about it, but then you reference them.
Yes, exactly. Because, the level of expectations also with content has increased quite a bit on LinkedIn also. So even though hardly anyone posts, we are still so primed from the other platforms. So when I just simply share her post, for example, it looks lazy, but I haven't actually put thoughts in there. And why would I share it? There's no point. So what my job is as a content creator or as the thought leader is to make it digestible, saying it's been the best article ever that I've read so far on LinkedIn stories. Karen gives an incredible insight about the pros and cons, especially tip 3 is something that I haven't even considered. So what I'm doing now is I'm opening the story loop and I'm making people curious. It's like, what is point 3? What is the tip 3? So I'm reading her post. So I'm curious about you. Are you pro or con LinkedIn stories? So I'm ending with a question that I also get the engagement up again. Oh, Elizabeth is so cute, mind blown. But this is the fun with LinkedIn. There's a lot less work in there to get more traction, and I'm all for that.
Exactly. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And for those who are already blogging regularly or have long form content, what we can do, and I only started it again a few weeks ago, is to write an article. What you can also do now that has only been around for a couple of months is to post from your company pages. If you set up your own company page, which again, I would recommend because it takes you 3 seconds and it looks a lot more professional. So say I posted from my one and I can literally copy and paste a long form content and publish. And what I do then is to pin it into my featured section. So in the featured section, this is what people see straight away. So I've got a bit of a mix of content that I contribute to Forbes, for example. That's a link. This is my own post. This is another Forbes one. This is another post on LinkedIn. So you can curate what people should associate with you. It could be a link to your website, because when we add something, it could be a post. Because it performed well, I put that in there. It could be an article. It could be a link to your website. It could be a photo of you celebrating something, or a video even. So you curate the featured section, and this is a lot more powerful. But because what I have now thought about again is because I've got a lot of content already on my own website. But if you don't have a lot of traffic on the website, you only tap into a small audience. When I use exactly the same content and also publish it on LinkedIn, not in the same weeks, but slightly apart, I can double in on it. So I can leverage the content in multiple ways.
So Petra, you mentioned something about, so I have a LinkedIn personal profile, and then I have my business profile. Mm-hmm. So that you said that's a good thing to do, set up the business.
Yes.
When you post your content, do you post it to your personal yes. LinkedIn account and not to your business account?
I do 2 different things. So I've got my activity, and personal brands get a lot more tractions than company brands. Because who is the person behind the brand? It's kind of weird to talk to a logo. But what I use my company page for is it is on the experience rather than the gray box that doesn't say anything. We actually have the logo, so it's another branding effect. And what I use the impact side for my company page is to be a little bit more announcement stuff. This is what's happening. This is the event that we set up, which I then can share. This is something else. So it's a lot less personal. It's more an announcement thingy. Whereas on my personal, here's a sneak peek. So it's quite informal, more formal and more informative. Whereas on my personal, I would say, what a freaking week it was. Yeah, because it's my personal opinion. It doesn't resonate from a company page as much.
So I have like 1,000 people that I follow or follow me on my personal page, but my business page has far less. I've invited people to follow me, but is that, I'm just making sure if you're posting content, how do you make sure that content gets to the people you want? So you're putting it on your personal page, but how does that stuff on your business page that you post get to the right people? Is everybody, can you get people linked to your business from your personal page, or you have to invite them separately to follow you on your business?
This is a good example. So Felipe, this is actually his company page. So he called his company page like his name. That's weird. But what he does is it's just a reshare of it. So theoretically, what I could do is when I go on Impact, what I can do now is I can share Impact's content. Oh, I'm in as a...
On your personal page.
Yes, exactly. So I can now say share underneath me.
Okay, so that's the way people can get to both sets of content without having people following your business page. They're going to see it on through your personal page.
Exactly. But as I said, even the resharing of your own content is duplication, and it's usually getting a lot less traction. What I would do is saying, it's been 6 years since I launched, and then I'm tagging my own company. So you can also build your brand by association simply by tagging your own company, what a ride it has been. So people are then checking out your company page anyway.
Ah, okay. And how often do you post something like that?
At the beginning when I started, because nobody knew what Impact was, but they knew me a lot. Now, not that often.
Okay. So you got enough traction of people going to your business page from that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So what are the benefits of having a business page? Is there like, you know, should you have both? Is it better to have just the one? Like, what's the point of a company page, and then the difference between a personal page?
So a company page looks a lot more professional, that you're not just a garage band kind of one-man band show, but there's something more professional behind it. And it also, again, helps you to rank higher with your company name. So again, when people are Googling you and say Duno and then your company name, or Duno and then your company name will come up because of LinkedIn's presence there, you get a lot more credibility. So you double down on owning real estate in different ways. And as I said, I use the Impact page, my company page, more so for promotion, not so much for personal insights. So I never share anything personal. And also when I run events, I actually run it through the business page.
Gotcha. So yeah, more professional and
more informative. This is what's coming up. These are the 3 tips. You know, yeah.
Can you go back to your profile on your personal page? It does say that you are a coach on your personal page, right? So it's really just not, it's saying, I'm Petra, I'm a coach, where the other one says, this is Impact, that's my company.
Yes.
Okay, so it's really duplicating it, but you're just, the title is your name, and the other one, the title is your company.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also think, you know, your company page could be managed, which I have outsourced now, could be managed by somebody else. My personal page, I don't want anyone else to manage, because I want to still have it very casual, conversational, and personal, because this is still what gets a lot of traction.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's a good point. You know, your business page can be managed by other people while you keep track of your personal, right? Especially because of the connections.
Exactly. And the company page content is more your thought leadership on a informational level, the educational content. You don't need inspirational content or, you know, anything like that. It's literally, here are the 3 tips to get better with video. An amazing testimonial, who loves us for what we are doing. An event you need to register for. So more the information, what's coming up, whereas the personal page is more what's happening in your life right now. So and this is also what I would highly recommend. So today, when I said I'll do a carousel post, what I'm doing is next Wednesday, so it's exactly a week out and it's planned like that, is I've got the biggest keynote to date. And I'm leveraging this event like there's no tomorrow. So what I've done already in the stories a lot is to show how I actually develop content, how I practice the speech. And this is what I'm now also posting and say, 1 week to go. This is the behind the scenes stuff. The biggest keynote today, to make sure you register. It's a free event, but there are like 8,000 attendees attending. So I want to leverage that in the lead up to it, then on the day, and then afterwards. So I post at least 4 times about this one event. And this is what often people don't leverage enough, that they've got a speaking engagement, they've got a big event coming up, they've got, they got a media feature and they post about it once. But organic reach is so little. And even if people saw it once, it takes us a few times to see the same message, to remember it. So when we talk about, I've just got accepted as a keynote speaker, I'm beyond excited, who else is coming? So more conversational rather than saying, whoops, how good I am. Then I would say, geez, I've been working all weekend and how interesting, I've come across so many interesting insights already for keynote so-and-so. Practice makes permanent. I've been rehearsing it now for the 8th time and I'm still stumbling over my words. Lucky I've got another week to go. So I'm taking people on the journey, what I'm doing, because they're not so interested in the end result. People are more interested in the behind the scenes. And this is how you can build your profile, that you actually show how you do things. So when we talk about photography, I do personal brand photography. I always say, so this is the setup. This is the ring light that we always use. These are the poses that we do. And one tip is to always have big arches, even though it feels awkward, it looks amazing in photos. So rather than saying, this is the end result, I show how did we get to this end result. And this makes—
And that's all on your personal page, you do that. That's where people follow that content.
Yes, exactly. But in your case, because it's your profession, it could be on your company page.
No, actually, I like to do it on my personal page. I think your rationale is good, and more people follow me now because I just set up my business page. So that way, and now I could find ways to connect with them and then get them to connect to my business page through other means, as you said.
Exactly. And, business pages are just the validation that there's a proper business and you're not just ripping people off. Not more. Even though I've had it for years, I've got 500 followers. It's nothing. But it's not so much the business page, it's more the validation that there's something behind it and you can take your own company.
And what was the name of the program you use that does the automatic posting?
Buffer, Buffer. They're Hootsuite and Edgar and all of those, but they've got all too many bells and whistles, whereas Buffer is very simple and I like simple.
Yeah. Yeah, because on Instagram there's a few there. Later and so there's so many of them out there. But if you like Buffer because it's simple, I like that.
Yeah, and with Instagram again, it's a bit different because you have to have this nice flow of the visuals, whereas on LinkedIn nobody sees that. So what you can do on Buffer also is that you can actually connect your other channels. So you see, I've actually connected my Instagram account, but I never publish it through Buffer.
So you use Buffer for automation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we go, I hope you can still follow what I'm opening here.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what I love about it, as I said, I'm all about being smarter, not working harder. I repurpose content that worked really well a few weeks, months ago, years ago, and rebuffer it. So when we go back, so you see, I've scheduled everything other than the Tuesdays, because I always do Tuesdays as a carousel. So I have to post it live. Or when I had an event on a Thursday, I posted live Friday, because it might be a short video, or even the reels, the short ones, I repurposed it, but I need to upload it in live or in real time, because otherwise it sends them to a third-party page and again the reach goes down. So videos, native upload, polls, and also the carousels. But other than that, it's all pre-scheduled already. This on Wednesday, when I have a poll, I leave that also open. And when I see something performed well, because you also have the analytics in there, this one, for example, that was the graphic probably, yeah. I can say now, you know what, it's going to perform well in October again, or November, and
that is great.
And say done. So because you don't even know what you had yesterday for lunch, leave it on people knowing what you posted yesterday, last week, 3 weeks ago. So we can repurpose content easier. And because you see also the analytics here in Buffer, it's easy to see what performed well and what didn't. And you don't have to write everything from scratch, or you simply change it a tiny bit and say that's been the framework that has worked for me for the last 4 years. So you just use the same content, but you talk about it from a different angle.
Yeah,
Does
and
Buffer cost anything?
Sorry, say it again.
Oh, sorry. Does Buffer cost anything, like to maintain every month?
I pay for it because I've got a lot of channels. But if you only have one channel, like your personal, it doesn't cost anything, and you can have 30 posts for free. And even my paid version is like $150 a year, so it still makes it worth, because it saves you a lot of time. And what I do usually on a Sunday, for me, I do my content creation and I map everything out usually for a full month ahead. So I go all in for 2 or 3 hours and then don't have to worry about it for the next month. So what it frees me up to do is now to engage in people's content and do my commenting. That's the only way to be live on it, and answer direct messages and respond to comments that I got on my post. And I don't have to think on the spot what I have to say today.
Makes sense. Thank you.
And also what you should do when you have those events coming up, you plan backwards. So when you say we've got 2 promotions, I want to start talking about it 3 weeks ahead. So on the Tuesday, the next Wednesday, the next Thursday, I'm talking about it. You can also work backwards. Makes it a lot easier to break down the big month. This is actually what I want to share with you as a little method, how I'm always going about it. And this is this one here. I look at the month ahead and see what are the special holidays and the key dates that people's minds are already in. So it might be November or October, Halloween, the winter is beginning, tax returns, end of year, whatever it might be, that we want to tap into the mindset where people are at already. And what I also love is special holidays, because it often sparks ideas. And I put together, I can send this presentation also, because I put in some tools where we can find some inspiration for your own content creation. So this is happening in September. These are all special holidays. So what is today? The 8th. So what 8th? So Pardon Day, International Literacy Day, World Physiotherapy Day. Not relevant for me personally, but one of my clients is a teacher for special needs kids. So literacy, perfect to talk for her about this day. Or swap.
You missed International Cabernet Day, which was last week.
There you go. Well, I don't always put every single idea in there, because my audience is quite a particular audience. So it picks stuff out what they will use. And sometimes those special holidays just spark some inspiration, some ideas. When we say, even this make a hat day, when I say, as a business owner, you have so many hats to wear. I have to do admin, I have to do marketing and so forth. So we can even be a little bit creative about it. But and I usually take 2 to 3 special holidays for the entire month. So I'm not exhausting them and just constantly talking about it. And I also don't always say, hey, today is blah, blah, blah day, because that's also getting boring. We could say something like, did you know? So opening the story loop with a question, did you know 90% of businesses or startups fail? No worries, Deb. Thanks so much for coming. In the spirit of International Startup Day, here are 3 tips how startups can thrive. So we can also include it a little bit later, or sometimes we don't say at all what day it is. We just use it as an inspiration. And once we've got all of that, so we say we pick 2, 3 special holidays, we come up with some ideas. So for example, the skyscraper day, I thought it would be a cool idea to talk about how is a skyscraper built. It doesn't just pop up. There's a lot of foundation. So I talk a lot about branding is the foundation. So I just connect the pieces. So even though I'm not in the building industry and skyscrapers is not my industry, I can still talk about the idea behind how to build a skyscraper. Then I also have a few HR people in there. So Global Talent Acquisition Day, we can talk about how do you actually find best talents? What are the skills most in demand? So I can also alternate between, this would be a carousel, for example, this would be a single infographic, this would be a photo. And days like that, International Book Day, Reader Book Day, people are always keen to chime in. So sometimes I take a photo with, my favorite books and just hold it into the camera like that I'm kind of in the background and kind of blurred and the books are in the front, to have this recognition again and say the 3 books that have changed my life and my thinking on all things branding. So I put my keyword in there just to hone in on it, are X, Y, Z. I'm dying to know, what are your must reads, or which book would you recommend for your industry? And people want to look smart, which is why they are going to share infographics or any kind of research more likely than a personal photo. Nobody shares my personal photo. That's kind of weird.
So what would you recommend is good content ratio, like, size specific, if it has to be specific?
Size specific? What do you mean?
Like, you know how certain posts on this, like, I know Instagram, like there's a story, like the size of the post that it has to be in terms of height and length. Are there any specifics like that on LinkedIn?
No.
Okay.
I literally have exactly the same size post that I have on Instagram, and I use that also for LinkedIn.
Okay.
And as you see, I've put a lot of different ideas in, because the alternating content types, that's what actually keeps people interested. When I always just post a photo of me sitting, working, looking amazing, people getting bored with that. So I'm throwing in those infographics, just an image from a book, for example, that I'm just reading, or have my hand in there. Because again, even just having a hand in there creates trust. Or this Swap Ideas Day. Remember 2020? This is what 21 is all about. Photos swapping to videos. Individual images swapping to carousels. So I can also show my thought leadership by educating people in a very quick way what is changing and why people need to think differently, and obviously why they need to engage with you. So yeah, this is the first part, holidays. And this is then the second part. So we want to see what are the professional and personal dates that are coming up, that we also mention them throughout our content and throughout the month, rather than saying, oops, today I've got a speaking engagement and I can't leverage this big event properly. You map that out, and then you will see, because you've already had 3-4 of those special holidays, you talk about an event coming up a couple of times, then you have a few polls, you already have your entire content sorted pretty much, because as we said, we don't have to post every single day, and that makes it a lot more manageable when we work that way and a little bit more structured. So what I'll do is I'll share with you, especially this part here. And I'm also working, because I'm running content creation workshops once a month. So I always create it for the months ahead. So I'm doing it for October already next week. So I'll also share with you the special holidays for October to get you thinking what you can do, and put a couple of hours aside and map out your content for LinkedIn. And to be honest, I repurpose a lot of my Instagram content also on LinkedIn, but I don't do it at the same time. I usually do 2 to 3 weeks apart. So I'm often testing what works on Instagram, and then, or vice versa, and use exactly the same content. But I've got some of the same people following me on both channels, and when I post the same content on the same day, one platform is suffering, and I don't want to get people get bored with my content.
Gotcha. So you alternate?
Yes. Even, you know, like a week apart. So when I'm posting something on Tuesday, the week after on a Wednesday, I post it on Instagram, because people wouldn't remember that either anyway. So we can be a little bit more creative, but usually I've got 2 to 3 weeks difference, but I use the same kind of content.
Gotcha.
All right. Have you got any questions? I know we are right on time. Is there anything that I can answer? As I said, there is another masterclass that I did a few weeks ago on profile optimization. So if you want to hop onto that and work on your profile, because this is kind of your landing page. And if people are interested in your content and come onto your profile, but then they don't see the right information that they actually want to see, they're probably bouncing off. So we want to optimize that and then drive traffic with our content to our profile.
It's on the Facebook site, the masterclass you ran, or
Yes,
where
exactly.
can we find it?
Yes, it's there. And it's a recording also, because we did it over Zoom. So I can also send the link together with the presentation in the Facebook group. Yeah, definitely.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And the last thing that I probably would want to encourage you is, because as we know, social media is all about, you know, just lead gen, but we don't own any of these people's content. Put a little bit of a incentive on there. So I'll just go quickly back onto my profile. Oopsie, this one here. I have literally in this, here, in the 5th row, a link to freebies. So if you say download your checklist to get the most amazing photos, or whatever it might be, have it on there straight up, because this is how you can create leads for your own list and give value before you talk about yourself. So this is very much a sales page and not so much your resume. So think LinkedIn equals resource and not resume. That was back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When I first set up my my LinkedIn, I set it up as like some kind of resume.
Yes, no, we don't. It's another way of having a landing page for ourselves. And, you know, I'm not talking about, look at me, I'm so good, blah, blah, blah. I don't. I trigger a pain point. It's so hard to stand out in this competitive world. And just being the best at what you do doesn't mean you're well known for what you do. And this is the biggest pain point for my audience. Now, this is what I help you to do. And I'm not talking about how many degrees and years of experience I have. Nobody cares. So this is where we can have the storytelling part in our about section. And then in the experience section, this is where we can be a little bit more salesy when we say what we are actually offering. And again, use those keywords. So you will see I use exactly the same keywords and words that I have here. Repetition, which is why I've got so many active roles. You know, even when I'm hosting a podcast, it is a job. It's an experience that I would create a company page for. So this is just another way how we can improve and increase our online footprint.
And that's all in the masterclass you gave. You talked how to create this.
Yes, exactly. So it's always just, you know, add section, especially when we have to start from scratch, and we add those blocks. So when you start with LinkedIn, you don't have all of them, but you add them as you go.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Duna.
No, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, I was just asking, do you remember what day that was that you had that masterclass for the optimization for your profile?
I literally sent Alexa the link yesterday, so I'll find it easily. It's on my YouTube. So I'll share both of the links from today and the profile optimization in the Facebook group. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions?
You're going to share those links here or on the WhatsApp?
Yeah, easy. Any other questions that I can answer? not for now. I think we will have quite a few more LinkedIn sessions anyway, because as I said, I still get so much business through LinkedIn without spending a dime. And it's so hard to be, stand out on Facebook and on Instagram. And this is also where a professional audience hangs out. And this is usually our decision makers. And over 65% of LinkedIn users earn 75,000 plus. So there's also more disposable income, and I don't want to say upper level class because it isn't, but people who have got just more money to spend.
Those are my kind of people.
Exactly. Same here, because Instagram is a bit of a hit and miss. I've got some weirdos and some people who've got zero money, and
Well, the amazing thing about LinkedIn is you can target your audience so finite that you can get people around you that are your customers, where Instagram, I'm still scratching my head how to find anybody locally that I can connect with. So I think it's wonderful. And this is your business. This is what you help people with LinkedIn, or
it's part of it. So my preferred platform to build personal brands and monetize their IP is through LinkedIn, because they're usually either corporate professionals or people who work with corporates. And this is their audience. This is their platform. Instagram is my creative outlet, but I got probably 2 clients out in the last 2 years, so it's not that many. I wouldn't rely on Instagram for my business building. I know Alexa and the other guys are incredible using that. I'm not that, but
Raylan told me LinkedIn is where I need to be, and I agree completely. So this is perfect. I really appreciate, Petra, this was fantastic.
Excellent.
Even though I was drinking from a fire hose and have to go back.
I know. I'm like, take it all. No, but this is awesome.
Whatever I can glean from you will just be great. So thanks.
Well, as I said, I think we discussed that we do a little bit more LinkedIn, those kind of masterclasses, and hone in on specifics and talk about one area a little bit longer. So if anyone is interested, we can definitely do more of that. So we also want to test the waters, what is interesting and what isn't. But the last thing that I want to say is it's also credibility building and social proof. Like I landed Amazon because Domino's is one of my clients. I tagged with the ad Domino's in my post. And because when Amazon set up in Brisbane, they wanted to get into bed with Domino's, they followed Domino's on their site. And they saw that I'm posting and tagging them. And because the Domino's people engaged with my post, Amazon said, whatever you're doing with them, do it with us. I would have never gotten in there if there wouldn't be the social proof that I'm good enough for them. So often, this is also when we talk about lead generation, you don't have to be too much in their face. People still see you through this social proof.
One quick question, because I know we're over time. Do you use any programs like LinkedIn Helper?
No.
Or any of those? You just do this all yourself? Okay.
Because there's like LinkedIn, the Sales Navigator, but it's like $80, $90. You can be more specific and target people, but I haven't needed it. I don't think it's worth the investment for now. Maybe I change my mind eventually, but.
Yeah. So initially LinkedIn Helper 2 was free, but it was a way for me to go in and find potential people to connect with. And then you can set it to automatically follow people, but you got to be careful. I understand, like you just said, you can't do more than 100 in a month. You can't do more than 1 every so many minutes. There's all kinds of rules in LinkedIn that if you don't understand, you get blocked. So
exactly, you can get into LinkedIn jail. And I'd rather have 3 proper conversations and actually take the time to respond to people and have those one-on-one conversations and set up a phone call than having 100 new connections and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that is true. That makes a lot of sense.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. And as I said, if we're interested in running more of those LinkedIn sessions, more than happy to do that.
Yes, I am, definitely.
Yes,
amazing.
Please. Thank you, Petra. This is amazing.
Thanks so much, guys. Good to see you.